So now when we click on tutorials, we see these list items but are not clickable. Also, the route is configured for tutorial details on the main page. But as you see, it is the tutorial component which should hold the menu and respective routes. So if you put routes in a component which again is opened by parent routes, it means you are nesting the routes. Let's implement it in a more practical way. First of all, let me remove this route from here. Also now, I won't be needing exec in the tutorials route. Because I am removing exec, let me add switch. Let me first of all import the switch. I'm going to say switch here in the import statement. And also let me add the switch at the beginning of the routes. And I end the switch after all routes are over. And let me also add an HR after links, so we see a separator between parent and sublinks. And now let me give link to all the tutorials listed in the tutorial component. First I will add unordered list for all the LIs. Now let me import the link component from React Router DOM. Now I'm going to add link here before the regular expression and link at the end. And same is the case with the rest of the links. Now let's run this and see what is the output. As you can see, when I click on tutorials link, it shows more links now. And you can also see the horizontal rule. At the moment, there is no toAttribute set in the link. So let's do that as well. First of all, I will just give 2 is equal to regex at the moment, and let's check the output. Now I will click on tutorials and then regular expression. As you can see in the address bar, it should be localhost :3000 /tutorials/regex. Because regex is a subcomponent, a child of tutorials route. But we have configured /regex here. So we need to refer that whichever parent URL is selected, the regex URL should be in continuation with it. It means instead of this, it should have been localhost :3000 /tutorials/regex. But we do not need to fix this kind of URL. So what we need is, we need to get the value of the URL. We can use the useRouteMatch hook for it. Let's import and try to see what it does. First of all, I'm going to put a comma, say useRouteMatch. Now let me just write const match is equal to useRouteMatch. And let's display console log match. Let's check the output. I will click on tutorials and you see the match object value. The useRouteMatch hook returns. It displays the path, the URL is exact, that is, we have the exact route checking or not. Here both path and URL are showing the same value at the moment, but there is a difference. If, for example, the current route selection is /tutorials/:title, that is the parameter, then the path will show /tutorials/:title, whereas URL will show the value of the title. For example, you have clicked on regex, then it will be /tutorials/regex. So we use path to build nested routes and URL for building the links. Let's try it now. So first I will destructure the path and URL, and let me also remove this console log. Now the next thing is, I'm going to use the template string with 2. So I will remove these double quotes and /regex. And I'm going to say curly brackets, opening the template string. And I'm going to use the URL which is already destructured here, regex. The next is /js. Here I'm going to say /ts for TypeScript, and here /react. You can see here that we have routes for all the links. But here we won't be doing it. We will configure parameterized dynamic routes. We have seen the syntax of parameters in prior section. Let's implement it here. I'll say route path is equal to. Now again, as I mentioned, path we use to configure the route. So I'm going to say $path :title. And we are going to open the tutorial details component here. Let me also import this component. Now let's save this and check the output. Let's click tutorials. So now you see all tutorials. And if I click any of the tutorials, you can see in the address bar with respective dynamic title value. Let's click JavaScript Marathon, TypeScript, Mastering React, and the address bar is changing with /tutorials/ the dynamic value, that is the parameter. At the same time, it also opens the tutorial details component. Because we configure dynamic routes, naturally the details component will need to refer to the exact route selected. What I mean to say is, it needs to get the parameter values inside the tDetails component. We will use the useParams hook to get the values. Now let's go to tDetails, that is tutorial details component. Now here let's display tutorial details -params.title. So the parameter title we need to show. Every click will show the title, that is the parameter we click on. So let's save this and go back to the browser. Now let's click on tutorials, and here we click regular expression, mastering TypeScript, Marathon JavaScript, and mastering React, and it updates the value in the detail component. So now we have successfully implemented the dynamic and nested routes together. Let's talk about relative questions. The first and second question is the same one, that is, what is a nested route or what is route nesting? As we have seen in this example, the tutorials menu further has submenu, and that also opens other options. Whenever you have this kind of situation, it is called as nested routes. The routes are defined at component level, and there can be dynamic URLs configured with nested routes. The next question is, what is a match object in React Router? Well, the match object contains information about how a route path is matched. The match object has various properties like params, isExec, path, and URL, which we have seen here. In this section, we have referred the match object with useRouteMatch hook. But there are various ways to access the match object. You can use this.props.match in React component or inside with router, or it can be received like props while rendering component. That is, when you have the render statement, you may have a parameter return in this way. Next question is, explain the useRouteMatch hook. Well, this hook we have used to get the match object or match data, though it attempts to match the current URL in the same way as that a route would as per the official site of React Router. This hook can be used in two ways. The first way is you write it like this. In this case, it returns the match object and no parameter is given with useRouteMatch. And in this second way, the object as parameter is passed and it implements a route itself. And the last question is, what is the difference between URL and path in the match object? As I mentioned earlier, it displays the path, the URL, isExec, that is, we have the exact route checking or not. Here both path and URL are showing the same value at the moment, but there is a difference. If, for example, the current route selection is /tutorials/:title, that is the parameter, then the path will show /tutorials/:title, whereas URL will show the value of the title. For example, you have clicked on regex, then it will be /tutorials/regex. So we use path to build nested routes and URL for building the links.